Oh, hey everybody, here we are. Once again, we are the Non-Prophets. This show is brought to you by the Atheist Community of Austin. I'm your host, Jeff D. My guest today is Phil Amador. Hi, Phil.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. And our producer is Russell Glasser. Russell?
Hi.
Okay. Just checking. Today's opening music
I'm having trouble with this new equipment, sorry.
Yeah, okay, I know. Russell's got some exciting new toys over there we'll talk about in a bit. Today's opening music was Antimatter by the ACA'S. Kind of playing this as sort of a up the mood a little bit. Okay, let's all get past the hideous fact that we're living in a country ruled by right-wing conservative fundamentalists, and kind of get our shit together and move on into the future, because it's not like all is lost.
And the ACA'S rule.
The ACA'S do rule. Yeah. And as they say, what do we got? Not a lot. So what? Look what we do got. We are live via satellite, November 23, 2002. That's the exciting new toy Russell's got today, is his satellite link-up, which is carrying us from his own studios here
this is so cool.
to the rest of the internet, so you can listen to our fine program. The Atheist Community of Austin is a non-profit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. We have weekly meetings Sunday mornings at the Hot Jumbo Bagel Shop at 307 West 5th Street at 10:30 a.m., except for the first Sunday of each month when we have our lecture series at 11 a.m. in the Longhorn Room of Fur's Cafeteria at North Cross Mall. The next lecture will be on December 1. Do you guys know what the lecture is going to be offhand?
I don't.
I'm not even sure. It might be a discussion about our building prospects. ACA is in the market for a permanent meeting place. ACA board meetings take place at 10 a.m. right before the regular meeting on the second Sunday of every month. If you shop at the Randall's food store chain, you can give them our nonprofit organization number, 5158, and 1% of your purchase will be donated to the Atheist Community of Austin. The Godless Gamers meet every Monday night at 7 p.m. here at Glasser Studios. ACA Happy Hour is at Antonio's Tex-Mex restaurant near Highway 35 and 183 in Austin, Texas, every Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. For more information, call our voicemail at area code 512-371-2911 or visit our website at www.atheist-community.org. Okay, and we have the new satellite link up to carry our signals through. None of this, modem, high-speed, cable modem, none of that. We're going right through the airwaves.
We're asking me how much it costs, and believe me, you don't want to know.
You don't want to know. Like I said, the ACA has recently come into some money, and that's why we're looking for a building and stuff. But especially cool is this weird satellite dish arrangement that he's got up on his house now to connect us with, the satellites orbiting the Earth. Any instances of slurs, defamation, or discrimination against atheists or other non-believers in the U.S. media can now be reported to the National Atheist Ombuds by emailing ombuds@atheism.org. Please remember to include as many details as possible and a news source where applicable. Incidents will be reported to participating national and local non-theist organizations who have agreed to distribute press releases regarding the reported subject matter. Another one of these things came up. Some sports columnist on a news... I didn't even really pay much attention to what the newspaper was, but this was carried by the Internet Infidels Newswire website. This guy's talking about prayer on football fields when, football players get injured. And he says there's no atheists in foxholes, and apparently that also applies to football fields. And
do they have a message board where people can hammer them?
There was a link if you want to write to him personally, which I did, and I sent him a link to our photo of the huge number of atheist military personnel that we had at the march earlier this month. Fellow atheist George Carlin is coming to the Paramount Theater in Austin on Friday, December 6th. ACA members will be attending both performances, 7 p.m. and 9:45. Tickets can be purchased at Star Ticket locations or online at their website, premier.startickets.com. Michelle is hoping to get the volunteer coordinator from Hospice Austin to come and speak to the ACA. Email mgadouche@yahoo.com if you're interested in joining the ACA team on this project. This would be a great way to help other atheists who are facing terminal illness. Stay tuned for news about our upcoming annual solstice party. We do this every year. Usually there is the annual traditional viewing of Life of Brian and other solstice amusements. If you need solstice cards for the holiday season, we recommend www.heresyhouse.com. Now you can collect past episodes of The NonProphets and an audio version of our sister show, The Atheist Experience, which airs on public access television only in Austin, Texas, in a convenient CD format. Each CD includes a full month's worth of audio from both shows in both QuickTime and MP3, plus extra surprises. The CDs are $5 each. I think the one for this month is going to have the photos, right? Our photo gallery.
Should be, which you can also see on our website.
Right. That's the photos that we talked about last episode, last week, that is on the web, and we refer to them by number as we're doing the show. It was actually kind of a cool thing we were able to do there.
It was, and because it was such a well-received episode, I think I'm going to be keeping it around in the archives longer than a normal one would.
Cool. So, the CDs are $5 each. Contact atheist@mac.com for info. Now, something we didn't get a chance to talk about last week because we were concentrating entirely on the Godless Americans March on Washington is this email that the Atheist Community of Austin got from the Raelians.
The Raelians.
Now, for those of you out there who are living normal lives and don't know who the Raelians are, this is a UFO cult religion started by a washed-up race car driver from France who claims to have been abducted by space aliens who told him that, they or some other alien race created the universe and humanity and stuff.
They crossbred.
I don't know all the details. They got crazy, crazy websites like www.raelians.com or rail.com, RAELIANS. So we get an email from these guys saying basically, hey, we're atheists too, because we don't believe any gods, we only believe in aliens. Yeah. And they wanted to exchange web links with our site and all this nonsense. And we haven't responded yet. I just recently got a copy of the original email, and I'm composing a response that I want to send them, which is basically, fuck off, idiots. Because, it's fine, you're atheists. They'd have been welcome at the Atheist March in Washington. Was no sign of them. We had Satanists, didn't have any Raelians, as far as I know. They would be welcome. But, on the other hand, it is important for atheists to care about the quality of the argumentation supporting their views, right? And belief in space aliens suffers from exactly the same problems from a rationalist, skeptical perspective as belief in God, right? There is simply no evidence that anywhere in the universe... What the hell? We're hearing
What is that?
We're hearing a strange sound. Oh, wait... ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how to explain this to you. We're being wafted into the air. A piece of Russell's ceiling and our table and chairs and Russell's laptop and the satellite connection are all being wafted into the sky toward
Can you guys down there still hear us?
I'm afraid of heights.
There's some kind of large round object. There's an opening in the bottom of it, and we're being drawn up. Hey, Phil, I can see your house from here. Look, it's a beautiful view of Austin. I see the UT Tower and the Capitol building.
Oh my God, that roof is going to be hell to repair. Looks like the satellites are still intact. That's lucky.
Oh, well, we've been deposited inside some large cavernous chamber. It's dark, but there's glowing lights flickering in the distance. The iris valve that we were pulled up through is closing beneath us now, and we've been set down on the floor of this big chamber. Are you showing that we still have a connection to Atheist Network?
Apparently, I'm still being communicated with by the people in the chat room.
Whoa, that's convenient.
Wow, it is so lucky that I got this satellite modem.
Yeah,
laptop.
Otherwise, it would have pulled your cable modem right out of the wall, and that'd be
Incredible.
it for our transmission.
I love wireless.
Wow. Well, this is an exciting moment for me. I've always wanted to be abducted by space aliens, and
We're officially abducted.
we're abducted. Well, there doesn't seem to be any kind of a welcoming committee. I guess while we're waiting for the aliens to arrive, maybe we'd better proceed with the show.
Okay.
We still have a responsibility to our listeners. Let's start with some of the most exciting news. I'll get comfortable here on this strange alien device that I don't know what it does. Some of the most exciting news for atheists lately is that Judge Roy Moore, right? We've been talking about this guy for months and months and months, this right-wing fundamentalist.
Talk about space aliens.
What?
Talk about space aliens.
What about him?
I mean...
so Roy Moore is a space alien? He
yeah.
might be now. I mean, I'm suddenly going to have to change my entire worldview because I've personally got evidence. Now, of course, those of you listening to our show should not change your worldview. We could all be going insane. We could be tricking you. We could be lying. We could be deluded. You don't know. Unless we bring back some hard physical evidence from this little adventure of ours, it's not going to change a darn thing.
Oh, me without my digital camera, too.
Damn it. So anyway, this Judge Roy Moore this is the guy who was elected Chief Justice of the state of Alabama, and then proceeded to sneak into the state into a state building and erect a Ten Commandments monument. Overnight, without telling anybody, though there was a fundamentalist film crew there that filmed the whole thing, and then a televangelist whose crew that was, it sold tapes of the installation of that Ten Commandments monument and made, by some reports, possibly $4 million selling those videotapes. Okay? Well, that went to court, and he's been shot down. Moore testified during the trial that the commandments are the moral foundation of American law. He said the monument acknowledges God, but does not force anyone to follow his conservative Christian religious beliefs. A lawsuit seeking removal of the monument argued that it promoted the judge's faith in violation of the Constitution's ban on government establishment of religion.
Doesn't Roy Moore have, statements all over the frickin' place saying, I'm doing this because I believe that the United States was founded on Christian principles? It's such a bunch of BS that he says it's.
Yeah, it doesn't force anybody to follow it, but it does force my view on them that America is a Christian nation and that all of our laws come from the Bible.
Yeah.
He's concerned about the moral decline in the United States.
Now, is he taking this sitting down?
No. He's fighting. He's appealing.
Is he?
Yes.
That may be the only time when you will ever hear the phrase, Roy Moore is appealing.
Awesome.
What's he saying?
Well, he has vowed to appeal the order that we just talked about. And an attorney for him said that he's asking the appellate courts to allow the 5,300-pound monument to stay in place until the appeals process is passed.
Right.
So he's trying to keep it there as long as he can.
Sure, of course.
It's kind of scary.
As if a cosmic universe creator needed to score points by keeping his monument in the building as long as possible, right? As if that would mean anything to a cosmic entity. I guess when the aliens arrive, we can ask them. There'd be cosmic entities of some kind. We can ask them, how big of a deal that would be to them.
Well, if they know. If they speak English, I don't know.
Now, I see a door. Well, I guess you'd have to call it a door-like thing opening at the far end of the hall, and there's some motion down there, and maybe that's... They're not friendly! Run! Oh. Come on! This way! There's I see a little side passage here, and a storage room. This looks like some kind of a switch. Oh! Okay. We've sealed ourselves into some kind of a side storage locker kind of thing. There's more weird objects in here. A glow is coming on the ceiling, and we can see racks of what look like weapons.
Nice.
Phil, check that out. Is that
Looks like
Does that look like a gun to you?
A rifle of some sort.
Don't point it at me, man.
I'm not pointing it at you.
Pretty nice looking.
And we're going to have to, I think we'll need these things. It's a stroke of luck, because we're going to have to defend ourselves against these aliens.
Oh, I can't seem to carry one. It's I gotta lug my laptop around all over the place.
Oh, that's okay, Russell. We understand. We will protect you.
We'll cover you.
Please. All right.
How do I look with this gun?
That's what you care about?
No.
Our lives are in danger, and you care whether you look cool or not. All right. Well, let's move on to the next news story while the aliens hunt the cargo hold searching for us.
Okay, hope they don't find us. Alrighty.
I have some more Ten Commandments news. Just a short note here. The granite monuments displaying the Ten Commandments must be removed from the grounds of 4 public high schools in southern Ohio, according to a federal appeals court. The school board there asked to be allowed to merely cover up the Ten Commandments while the board appealed the decision. He ruled that the display is unconstitutional because it appears to give government approval to a particular religious viewpoint. Well, duh. The school board's lawyers said moving the 3-foot tablets, which weigh at least 800 pounds apiece, would be expensive, and that the monuments might break. Well, that would be ironic since you're breaking the dictate of the Constitution by having them there in the first place. Now, these Ten Commandments were at first displayed alone. After the lawsuit was filed, the school board placed secular displays of passages from the Magna Carta and the Bill of Rights around their Ten Commandments monument, arguing that made their presence acceptable as part of a broader display of historical documents. There was another story that I was following from Florida where a group has been basically watching the Roy Moore case to figure out what they could get away with. And they say that as a result of the Roy Moore case, that if they put up these other historical things around it, that will make it just a secular historical display, too.
Sugar-coated a lump of shit, basically.
But here's an example of that not being true. Who else has got a story they want to talk about? Now, I see, just while you're doing that, I'm going to watch. There's a little porthole in this door. I can see back into the cargo hold. The aliens are poking around our broken table and chairs from the studio and the piece of Russell's ceiling with some kind of probe device. They're short. They're white-skinned.
I really wish I had a gun.
With almond-shaped eyes. Just stay in the back there and work your controls. We'll handle the firearms. Do you got a story you can read for us there, Russell?
Pick one.
I don't know. You take the first thing you got.
Okay, Bush signs bill allowing under God.
Oh, boy.
How does that sound? This is actually from back on November 14th, almost a week ago. President Bush signed into law on Wednesday a bill reaffirming, with a slap at the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, references to God in the Pledge of Allegiance and national motto. Bush signed the legislation without comment. It reinforces support for the words under God in the pledge and for in God we trust as the national motto. The measure was approved unanimously in the Senate and drew just 5 no votes in the House. Congress rushed to act after the Federal Appeals Court in California ruled in June that the phrase under God inserted into the pledge by Congress in 1954 amounted to a government endorsement of religion in violation of the constitutional separation of church and state, which it does.
Well, duh.
The legislation faulted the court for its erroneous rationale, or as George Bush would put it, erroneous rationale. And absurd result. The new law also modifies the manner in which the pledge is to be delivered by stating that, when not in uniform, men should remove any non-religious headdress with their right hand and hold it at their left shoulder, the hand being over the heart. Previously, the standard dictated that any headdress would be removed.
Yeah, because, making a rule that you have to put your hand over your heart guarantees that you really mean it when you say it.
Right.
Get it?
Yeah.
Good grief.
And isn't the heart more to the center of the chest? A lot of people say
it's not really the heart. It's just that.
It's the symbolic heart.
But, that's just completely ridiculous. people are either going to mean it or not, and you can't make them mean it more by controlling their posture while they're saying the Ten Commandments with the unconstitutional God reference in it. Can they? I mean, would that change you guys' opinion if you...
I'm not a good person to answer. I think it should be removed.
I mean,
from the
I don't
pledge.
think I've been asked to say the pledge since I was in high school.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay, well, let's go on to another one. What else we got? Phil, you got something? Also, I got some cool science news here.
Oh, science news sounds good. I just have more on
okay, I'll just... why don't you go to the window there and keep an eye on those aliens?
I will. Oh, boy.
They don't seem to have realized that we're off in the side chamber yet.
I don't like the looks of that probe they have.
They seem to be looking for the anus on one of our chairs that's lying there on the ground. They're not finding one.
They're not going to get my anus.
What? What?
Nothing, just getting a little antsy.
Okay.
Alrighty. Scientists, these are Earth scientists, just to make that clear, and not space alien scientists, poised to construct new life form. Scientists announced Thursday that they plan to create a new form of life in a laboratory dish, a project that raises ethical and safety issues but also promises to illuminate the fundamental mechanics of living organisms. J. Craig Venter, the gene scientist with a long history of pulling off unlikely successes. Do you guys know who this guy is?
No.
J. Craig Venter? What else has he done? There's this vague reference in the news story. I just don't know.
That name doesn't ring a bell.
And Hamilton O. Smith, a Nobel laureate, are behind the plan. Their intent is to create a single-celled, partially man-made organism with the minimum number of genes necessary to sustain life. Cool. If the experiment works, the microscopic man-made cell will begin feeding and dividing to create a population of cells unlike any previously known to exist.
All sorts of military applications.
Well, I mean, right now they're just after the simplest life form that they can get to live and eat and reproduce and stuff.
Of course, will that satisfy the intelligent design people?
Well, no.
No, it's intelligently designed, see?
Well, yeah, I mean, but that even though they argue that there's not enough time in the history of the universe for a tornado infinitely going through a giant junkyard to assemble a 747, well, if the universe was enough older, eventually that would happen, right? So even they agree that things can happen because of natural forces. They just disagree about how long it takes. And obviously, having intelligent design is a speeding up factor. But then I'd like them to explain why it is that we have a universe that's billions of years old, if, as they say, it was intelligently designed. Why did it take an intelligent designer that long?
You should have been smart enough to do it in a second.
You'd think, right? I mean, young Earth creationism ought to be true if there's an intelligent designer. But if young Earth creationism is not true, then it's unlikely we have an intelligent designer at all.
We had something to work off of. I mean, we can see how life actually works now that it's already created.
Yeah.
You could say that the intelligent God had to tinker around for.
This would be the
before he figured
God.
out what it would take.
Right. This would be the omniscient God who knows everything.
Well, the theory has some holes in it,
I think now would be a good time to get back to those dumbass Raelians. Can we do that?
Sure.
Another story that I stumbled across in my frantic search for news this morning was that the Raelians support the intelligent design movement.
Ouch.
Have you heard this?
And they think they're allied with us?
They think that on the one hand, they're sending us email claiming to be fellow atheists, which, maybe in a technical sense they are. That's not really the issue. But at the same time, they're cuddling up to the intelligent design movement. Why? Because they think that human beings were designed by space aliens.
Okay. So he was an extraterrestrial God guy. Sort of.
Yeah, they're telling us they don't call it God. It doesn't matter. They have as little evidence of that as we have of the existence of a God in the first place.
Have you guys read Robert Pennock's book, Tower of Babel? Because one whole chapter is him talking about the Raelians and making the point that...
Oh, really?
Yeah, he says that, when creationists come in with this evidence that, so-called proves that evolution couldn't possibly happen, all that it does is make Raelianism the most likely hypothesis. It doesn't make, it doesn't make God become any more likely than it was before. It just means that the Raelians might be right.
Right.
And so
but
when creationists open the door to this stuff, all they're doing is playing into the Raelians' hand, is what he's
But
arguing.
it doesn't even do that.
No, it doesn't.
Because, I want to ask a Raelian, where did the space aliens come from? Right? Now, if they're going to agree with us that there isn't a God, then ultimately evolution has to be the cause of those space aliens, or something else that they're then responsible for explaining. But if there's really evolution, but it didn't happen here on Earth, how the hell do they explain all the evidence we have that it did? Right?
You got a whole fossil record and everything like that.
Right. We have a whole fossil record. We have a chain of hominids, connecting us back to pre-human forms, and we have all that, and yet they're trying to tell us that though that's all fake and bogus, because really space aliens invented us. But then fine, but then where did the space aliens come from?
And where's the evidence that they have for these space aliens? I don't understand. They don't have a leg to stand on it.
I know what evidence I have for space aliens. I'm looking at one down the corridor through the hole in this doorway right now. One of them is casting a wary glance in our direction. Maybe we better get these guns at the ready. I know what evidence we've got. I just want to know what the hell evidence they've got. And if we manage to capture one of these space aliens, we ought to ask him where he came from. That might be really interesting.
And we can take him on Fox Television.
They are definitely headed this way. I think we need the element of surprise. Are you ready, Phil?
Yes, I'm ready.
Russell, get behind us. We're going to open the door.
Okay, shit.
Okay, here we go. Go! Oh, these guns are great! Look at them go! No, they're ducking down behind the furniture. Okay, stop shooting for a second. Well, they didn't. It's amazing how well our furniture from Russell's place is holding up to the barrage of alien blaster fire. But now they're making a break for it. I got a couple. Ouch! Are you all right, Phil?
I got hit.
Get behind me, man. Okay, wait. They're retreating out the far door, and it's closing.
That sucked. Phil, are you okay?
I took a hit.
Oh, man. They're
Go on without me. No, in second thought, carry me.
Stop shooting, man.
Sorry. Oh, guys, I think I took a big hit.
Okay, well, we've driven them from the cargo hold.
I think you'll be okay, but you look like you need some medical attention.
I need some Carmex.
I asked the guys in the chat room down there to try and get in touch with the FBI, but they don't seem to be taking me very seriously.
Well, great. A lot of good you guys are. Phil, can you walk on it?
I think I can.
Because, you can lean on Russell there, and I'll take the point. But, it occurs to me that if we just stand here, they're just going to come at us again, and they know the layout of the ship better than we do. We've got them on the run right now. Why don't we follow them? Maybe we can follow them to some kind of control chamber or something. If we can take over the ship, we can fly it back to Russell's place, and
sweet. Then we'll have evidence.
Well, that would be useful too.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We'll just hobble along here down the corridor and.
Me with all this damn equipment.
Yeah. And who's got the story on the Miss World riots? Speaking of wanton violence.
That was in Kaduna, Nigeria.
Okay, let's go. Let's hear the story.
Okay. Still fighting raged on yesterday in the Nigerian city of Kaduna, and for those of you who don't know, the Miss World pageant was to be held in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And there was an article in, I think, the newspaper, the independent newspaper in Lagos, which is sort of the commercial capital of Nigeria. It's called the This Day independent newspaper.
Yeah.
And a writer in that paper, when asked by Muslim leaders who say it's immoral to waste time and attention on this pageant, He replied, "What would Muhammad think?" And Muhammad is pretty much the equivalent of Jesus.
Right. In the religion, yeah.
So what would Muhammad think of all this pageant, Miss World stuff? In all honesty, the writer responded, in all honesty, he would probably have chosen a wife from one of these pageant people. Okay, let's just...
And now how many are dead?
Okay, there's like 105 people dead just
boy.
from this column. And the very next day, the very next morning, they printed a one-page retraction apology.
Yeah.
It didn't help because there were all these mobs. They burned churches. They burned people in front of the churches. They set people ablaze.
Why?
Just because of this editorial in this independent newspaper.
Well, were they newspaper people?
Did
they bother to check?
No, they were people who they thought were Christians.
Ah, okay.
Okay, and gives you an idea of the tension. And this has been going on in Nigeria for quite a while, the tensions between Muslims and Christians.
Right.
Amazing. I mean, I don't know the parallel here in the States. Well, aside from like abortion clinic violence and things like that. I mean,
or racial tension.
I mean, we have op-eds all the time, with similar denunciations.
Yeah. I have some quotes here from a story about that. Tunde Adeyemi, a 25-year-old Christian, related how he and friends fought off Muslims. Quote, "We had only stones. They were shooting us and we were stoning them," he said. But Joe Adamu, a Muslim tailor, said Christians were armed with automatic weapons, while the Muslims only had stones and knives. So what's the story there?
I don't know.
Probably we're talking about separate incidents, and in some places the Christians are better armed, and in some places the Muslims are better armed. I'm glad to say that none of them have these cool space alien blaster pistols, because that would be just carnage.
Right.
Yeah, boy, I am shocked to find myself feeling sorry for something as pathetic and stupid as the Miss World pageant. But I do. I feel sorry for him.
I thought it was a joke when I first heard about the story, when it broke. And this is a beauty pageant.
It sounds like something The Onion would print.
That's what I thought. Well, that's what you're always reading The Onion like I am, and it's like, it sounds like an Onion article.
Yeah.
This is a beauty pageant.
Right.
Unbelievable.
The show will definitely go on, said pageant publicist Stella Din. She said she was saddened by the deaths, but insisted they were not the pageant's fault. That's right. They're not the pageant's fault.
They're 100% right on that, because all it was 2 sentences from this editorial.
And it wasn't even that. I mean, there was already violence about this that flared up again, but it didn't flare back down after the newspaper published its apology. So, they were just looking for an excuse. These are religious lunatics doing exactly what their religion tells them, which is go berserk whenever something doesn't go their way.
I wonder how this newspaper writer feels after having started the...
I don't know, if they didn't catch him and burn him.
I mean, he's a little culpable, I think, as far as the deaths of 105... That's a lot.
Talk about a faux pas.
Whoops. Oh, no, but what I meant was... No sense of humor.
What nationality was he?
He was Nigerian, of course, from Lagos.
Maybe he should have known better than to crack jokes like that.
But, no, bullshit. The right of a comedian to make fun of something, or the right of anybody to poke fun at things, I think, that is paramount. The idea that people should hold their tongues and not say things about other people's beliefs, and then that they should be blamed
I'm
when
not
those
saying
people
it's appropriate for the culture to be that way. I'm just saying, that's how it is, and I'd watch my step if I was living over there.
Oh, it's crazy.
I wouldn't. The idea that anybody is responsible for this violence other than the believers and their belief system is ridiculous. Fearing violence could spread, security forces patrolled other major cities on Friday, including the northern trading hub of Kano, where Muslim women peacefully protested. Quote, "We are calling on the government to stop Miss World, this show of shame. For woman to expose herself to men other than their husbands is forbidden," said one of the protesters, Hadiza Usman. No, excuse me, it is forbidden for you. Are you up there? Would you be invited up there? It's stupid and pathetic and shallow as the Miss World pageant is. It doesn't violate any of the beliefs of the women who are actually up there. What you people are talking about is imposing your own belief system on others that do not hold it.
Now, what was the religious persuasion of the Nigerian woman that won last year?
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know.
That would be a good question.
Even if it was, there are different interpretations of Islam. And even if there aren't different interpretations of Islam, if she did something shameful, and supposedly Allah will get her for it. Right? It's none of these people's business. You know what I think is really going on here? And, I hate to think of the world as being such a shallow place. I think what's going on here is, jealousy. I think they are jealous when they see other cultures that are freer. And it pisses them off, and they can't come out and say, yeah, we'd like to also have millions. We'd also like to be able to waste millions of dollars on a big TNA show, right? We'd like to get up there and prance around and be appreciated for our beauty and all this stuff, right? Just like these big decadent cultures that have nothing better to do with their money can do.
They must not have seen the Victoria's Secret thing they had the other night.
I didn't see the Victoria's Secret thing they had the other night.
Damn it. I tried to tape it. But,
damn it, that sounded great.
It looked great.
What else we got in the news?
Did you mention where it moved to?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So what has been done is the pageant officials said, we're moving it to London. And the date was like December 8th. It was supposed to occur, but I think they're going to, it's going to be delayed a little. But, so all this violence is going to go over to London. Yeehaw!
Yeah.
That's terrible. I hope this type of violence doesn't move to the United States.
Well, we're still on the trail of the aliens now through this labyrinthine spaceship. It's bigger than it looks from the outside. These corridors are like twisting, and we're going across dangerous narrow catwalks and back past big glowing humming machinery that we don't know what it does, and we'll stay on their trail, but we'll keep reading you the news as long as we can.
How are you holding up, Phil?
I think I'm okay.
Yeah, you're limping a little, but
yes.
I think it looks like the blaster just sort of singed your pants mostly.
Oh, these new pants.
And that on top of the parking ticket you got the other day.
Oh. I'm coming off of it. So. Okay, so...
Injury to insult.
Yes.
Sorry, man.
Oh.
We feel for you. But,
Yeah. Oh, great. Now it's a bad day. I got a parking ticket.
You're saying it was a bad day.
And I'm abducted by aliens.
That doesn't.
What do we got? We got to have more news.
United States Postal Service.
Oh, yeah. Those are a fine bunch of Americans, aren't they?
Yes, on government payroll, no less.
Yeah.
And they have announced that they will display posters bearing the religionized national motto of In God We Trust.
What?
In all of its 38,000 outlets across the country. According to news service reports in a story in the November 16, 2002 edition of the Houston Chronicle newspaper, the poster... I got this off the American Atheist website, by the way.
Yeah, I found it other places. It's true.
The posters will resemble a large stamp featuring the Statue of Liberty in the middle with the phrase printed above the crown. The move comes in response to pressure from various groups like the American Family Association...
I hate those lobbies.
I hate the fact that they actually use the name family.
I know.
I've got a family too, asshole.
But they're always calling themselves something like that, right? They're never saying the Association for forcing everybody else to have the same religion as us.
Right.
They'd never do that.
Sorry.
You know what I think is particularly ironic about that, the poster as described?
Yeah.
What is Lady Liberty? Isn't Lady Liberty related to, if not actually a member of the Greek pantheon of supernatural deities that they believed in ancient Greece?
Mm.
It's at least inspired by that kind of stuff. I mean, they had like, they had the Furies and all these other sets of supernatural creatures that stood for philosophical concepts like victory and freedom and dreams and all this kind of stuff.
And it's also the site where one of the worst movie lines in history was ever recited. You know what happens to a toad when it gets hit by lightning?
Oh, yeah, that was bad.
That was bad, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway.
Excellent way to fit that X-Men reference in. Isn't there an X-Men 2 coming up pretty soon?
Yes, there is. I don't know how soon.
Okay.
But they're working on it. And actually, I just saw some kick-ass pictures of Nightcrawler recently.
For those of you into that whole comics.
Yeah, anyway. But getting back to this dumbass story.
Yeah.
Pressure from various groups like the American Family Association and a Texas man, Frank Williamson, who has been waging his own campaign to have the motto displayed in schools, post offices, police stations, and other buildings. Word of the decision by the Postal Service has spread, and the issue has already been discussed on the popular Fox News Network program, The O'Reilly Factor. Yeah, really. Last month, Williamson was informed that authorities decided not to display his own donated posters in post offices in several Texas communities. A Postal Service spokesman, however, said that while Department Regulation Number 232 on depositing literature and soliciting and electioneering bans posters and handbills from individuals, it does not prevent the United States Postal Service from putting up its own material. A contract postal station in the town of Cut and Shoot.
Okay, I rest my case.
We're definitely in Texas now.
Oh, boy.
That is in Texas, huh?
Oh, boy.
It's like the redneck version of point and click.
Oh, boy.
Continued to display Williamson's 16 by 20 inch poster, though, since it was a privately operated facility and did not fall under USPS regulations. The sudden decision by postal authorities comes just days after President Bush signed into law the bill reinforcing the use of the words "under God" in the Pledge of Allegiance and "In God We Trust" as the national motto. The latter has not always been the nation's official slogan, though, nor was "under God" included in the original pledge.
Right. Sigh. Well, that's what we get. We fill our government full of right-wing religious assholes, and that is exactly what they do. Now I hope we've learned a lesson. Now that reminds me, though, that kind of activism leading to large organizations doing good stuff, reminds me of what the hell's the guy's name? Bowling for Columbine.
Oh, Michael Moore.
Michael Moore, and not Judge Roy Moore, but Michael Moore.
Yeah, I've been confused because I've heard people talking about both Moores all week.
Yeah, I'm reading his book. It's pretty good.
Michael Moore's book?
Stupid White Men. It's a great book.
Well, I saw Bowling for Columbine the other night.
Yeah, I need to get
I really want to see that if I ever get back to Earth.
And it's darn good. Yeah. Well, maybe they have a theater on board the ship.
Yeah,
I'm sure they intercept all our transmissions and stuff. I saw Bowling for Columbine. It's quite good. The places I've read reviews of it have been critical, like as if he was reaching really far. No, what he does is he explores in depth, and he doesn't come up with a simple answer, right? I mean, for why is it that the United States is so steeped in gun violence, right? He does not come up with one simple answer. He explores a lot of different factors, and I think that is a more honest and useful perspective on what's going on.
If they got some kind of message out of it that they're uncomfortable with, they were making it up out of their own
No,
mind.
I think it's more that, since he didn't find one thing and prove that one thing was the reason, it seemed to them, to the reviewers, like he was, trying too hard, like he was looking around, like he was, like a partial solution equals just an excuse. But no, there are a lot of contributing factors, and he explores a lot of them.
Well, in his book, he's a lifelong member of the NRA, by the way.
Yeah.
And
oh God, there's this hilarious interview between him and Charlton Heston.
Well, actually, he wrote a letter to him. He ran for the president of the NRA. Michael Moore did. Yes, he did.
I'm sure
and what his platform, his whole deal was, is that if I am to be elected the president of the NRA, I'm going to change the policies back 15 years ago, back when it was a gun safety organization and not this hardcore right political lobby.
Mm-hmm.
Were they a relatively sane organization
they were,
at one time?
About 20 years ago, they were more of a gun safety
and
organization.
just like the U.S. in the 50s, they got commandeered. And the Boy Scouts.
Right. And so that was
commandeered.
That's what he wanted to do, but obviously he did not win the presidency of the NRA.
Yeah, obviously.
And
what reminded me of this from the story you're just reading is there is a segment where he goes and interviews a couple of the kids, a couple of the boys that were wounded at Columbine, and he talks about how the bullets used in the Columbine attacks were bought at Kmart down the street from the school. So he takes the two boys to the Kmart World Headquarters to show the bullet wounds to the Kmart officials, right? And ask them to stop selling bullets.
Were they Martha Stewart bullets?
I don't think Martha Stewart stores into the bullet. They weren't color coordinated.
Oh, well, she's big on Kmart. So.
Yeah. And unlike some of his previous films where it's, a series of kind of stunts.
Right.
More to embarrass the guys he's talking to than having any real hope of success. The Kmart officials come out and say, yep, we're going to stop selling bullets, and we're going to phase them out over the next, 6 weeks or 9 weeks or something, and then we're not going to sell bullets no more. And that was awesome.
Have they?
That's surprising.
There was no follow-up, and the movie's just come out, so either that period that they give themselves has not passed yet, or it's true.
Okay.
I think.
Wow, I may have to support Kmart now because Walmart, they're of course their main competitor.
Yeah.
Sells guns, sells bullets, and everything, but they also ban things like the morning after pill.
I better make sure of what I'm talking about because, as far as I'm concerned, Kmart and Walmart are identical in my mind. And I'm not entirely... See the movie. Find out which store it is.
I want to...
Before you go supporting somebody.
Good idea.
Or else go down there and see which one's actually got the bullet still.
Ow.
Whew.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So that's interesting. We are still on the trail of these aliens. I'll tell you, the ship just goes on forever. It must be... does this quarter seem like it's kind of curving to you? I bet we're sort of spiraling out from the middle to some kind of control area.
I don't know. Do you notice any kind of slope at all?
Yeah, it does seem occasionally, maybe sometimes. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. It's very non-Euclidean in here. But we will keep you posted if.
Of course, it's all artificial gravity anyway. So
you'd think.
You can't.
It might be.
There's
we
no
don't
way
even
to
know where we are. We could
going.
still be hovering over your house for all I know, Russell.
Okay.
Right? We haven't been able to see outside since we were abducted. What else we got for news?
We kind of slow this week, actually.
Well, I got something here.
What would Jesus drive?
What would Jesus drive?
What would he drive?
A coalition of religious and environmental groups is launching
I'm saying a mule cart. Because that's about all they had.
Yeah, pretty much. If that, I think he just would ride on the mule.
Do you think if there was a big, poop efficiency movement in the Middle East back in those days to try to, stop the pollution of towns by poop coming out the back ends of draft animals, that Jesus would have supported that? You think? I know I'm getting a little bit off the subject here, but that's sort of emissions. It's emissions control.
I sort of picture a person like a Jesus guy would drive a Volkswagen van.
But they didn't have them. That's what I'm telling you.
Well, are we talking about Jesus today?
There is no Jesus today. We know that for a fact.
Well, obviously this whole thing
there's a pretty good chance there wasn't a Jesus guy then, but if there had been, that's when he would have existed.
Oh, yeah. You know what story I wish I had gotten? We never got to talk about the box of bones being fake, did we?
Oh, maybe not. For anybody not up to date on this, the ossuary, there's serious critiques of that coming out, saying that while the box itself appears to be an actual historical ossuary or receptacle for the bones of dead guys, that the inscription on it shows all the signs of having been faked recently.
Yeah.
So
the part that says "brother of Jesus" might be fake.
Right.
Everything else is. So it's
right.
Some James, son of some Joseph.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yawn.
Anyway. Yeah. Big deal. A coalition...
But if he was driving around with his box of bones, right? If he needed a vehicle to transport his box of bones around, what I'm trying to find out is...
What would he drive?
What would he drive?
Flatbed pickup.
Yes.
But they didn't have them, Phil. Come on, man. We're talking about biblical times here. They just didn't have those things.
Okay.
Model Ts at most.
Actually, have you heard the joke that's starting to go around the internet about that?
No.
Somebody found a Bible passage that said, like, Jesus and the disciples were then all in one accord. Or something like that.
You can't fit 12 people in a Honda Accord.
Well, I don't know. Maybe with their
13.
legs sticking out. You know, you've seen those Guinness Book of World Records. How many people can fit in a Volkswagen
The
kind of
skinny
thing.
Jews.
You drive a Volkswagen, don't you?
I do.
You do. That's a cool looking little vehicle.
Oh, I love
How many
it.
people can you fit in there?
4 skinny people. Well,
4 skinny people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
But what if you're willing to actually cram them, you know, like sardines?
I've never tried
Think
it.
you could fit an entire set of disciples? And you? You don't really have the beard for it, but...
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. They'd have to be skinny Jewish people.
And an Accord's bigger than that, so...
Yeah, good.
Yeah, plus people were smaller back then.
Shorter then.
They were
yeah.
much smaller.
We got the trunk. Yeah.
And you could stick some in the trunk.
Yeah, okay. Well,
And the glove box.
Okay. Well, that Bible passage is true then. Alrighty.
So what is this story about what would Jesus drive? Because it doesn't make any sense to me.
It's some groups hoping to leverage their religion to get people to switch to more fuel-efficient cars.
Look out! There's some aliens poking their heads around the corner. Duck! My gun's overheating. Oh, good grief!
Hello?
Okay.
They
backed off.
I hate to
It was a
repeat
trap,
myself,
guys.
but I really wish I had a gun.
Well, you know, it's broadcast or this. What would you rather do? Live or broadcast?
At this point, I'm kind of thinking I'd like to live.
We have a responsibility, though, man. Look,
Yeah,
if you insist,
must consider the fans.
I'll carry the laptop, but I can't guarantee that I won't hit the wrong button and
I'm
disconnect
afraid that, then we won't either live or have the broadcast. So,
And I have a blaster flesh wound, and someone has to carry me.
yeah.
Now, this is troubling. We've gotten to the corner where the aliens had jumped out to ambush us, and there's no sign of their bodies. In fact, there's just this sort of misty, melting remains of humanoid beings that looks like it's going to dissolve entirely into the atmosphere, leaving no evidence whatsoever. And that's annoying.
Great.
That's annoying.
I hate it.
Because I thought, at least a body. So much for that stupid alien autopsy thing, though, right? That absolutely for sure was wrong now, because once they're dead, they melt.
They do. That proves that, so that was a fake.
Okay.
Now we know.
but we can't prove it, damn it.
I can't believe I didn't even have my video camera up here. Usually I keep it around the old room. Shoot.
Well, it probably is still there in your old room.
Yes. I hope Jenny isn't too worried about me. Or the big hole in the ceiling.
Wait, cell phones. If the satellite connection is still working, maybe the cell phone's still working.
Oh, mine's on the charger.
Oh, really? All right. So what would Jesus drive?
Okay.
I'm sure, we're on our way to their control center, and we'll take over the ship and we'll fly back to your place. I'm sure everything is going to be fine.
The move comes as the Bush administration reportedly considered a proposal to increase fuel efficiency standards for SUVs and light trucks. According to the Wall Street Journal, the proposal, currently at an early draft stage, is likely to draw intense opposition from car manufacturers. The religious and environmental campaign is likely to draw more immediate attention, however. The group plans a news conference Wednesday in Detroit. Members hope to meet with the big three automakers and the United Auto Workers Union. Car buyers...
Was this last Wednesday we're talking about?
This was November 20th. This
that'd be
Wednesday.
this coming Wednesday. Okay.
No, this past Wednesday.
I wonder if they'll get any press coverage.
Don't know.
Let's say something. Okay, so he does this, right, to promote cleaner air. When he turns around, the EPA is relaxing their clean air restrictions. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And so now refineries, to give them more flexibility, they can just do whatever they want as long as they can make a profit. and not have to worry about government restrictions.
And you know me, I am all in favor of just paving the planet and let's move on, right? But the point of that would be only if we can survive long enough to develop the technology so we are no longer tied down to this stupid, scum of organic material around this particular planet. I want to get past that. But we can't get past that when we have an asswipe in the White House who is playing along with the religious right, trying to create, a world war situation out of the Middle East, right? Dragging us all down with that, turning us into a theocratic military state, police state. That will not get us to the future that I want to see.
Yeah, I mean, short term they're sitting here paying lip service to supporting the environment, but long term they're still supporting policies which are basically going to make it impossible to do any kind of science.
Right. Right. If the exchange was, okay, we're going to hideously pollute the planet, but we're going to have science factories, right? And these science factories are going to be extremely polluting in order to maximize their science discovery output. That to me would be a fair trade. I'd vote for that, right? Because I don't care. Because that to me seems like, we're getting somewhere. And we don't need that environment crap anymore. But we still need it. We need it until we can get to that point.
Yeah.
And the shrub's not getting us there.
Yeah. And we got icebergs floating all over the place, and it's going to put us underwater soon.
I don't care about that. I don't really care.
Hard to do research.
Though I
underwater.
guess, isn't Austin right at the edge of all of Texas used to be underwater, right?
Well, I know Corpus Christi down south where I'm from is pretty much at sea level.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
We're pretty low.
So, maybe that would be some inconvenience, but again, if the result is I get to eventually leave the planet and go to other planets, I don't mind if Austin gets flooded. What do I care?
Well, there could still be people who don't get off the planet.
Oh, that's no problem. I think that technology needs to be made accessible to everybody.
Right.
And then everybody can do what they want. And those people who want to stay back
for religious reasons
and turn the Earth back into an environmental paradise, hey, more power to them. I think it'll be a fine art project to work on.
Like Biosphere.
All right, I'm getting off the subject here. This is my own weird, freakish beliefs.
Oh no,
okay.
And I think I need a good arguing with, but but go ahead.
Anyway,
what would Jesus drive?
I'm just trying to look for. Well, I mean, apparently he would drive something fuel efficient, which. Actually,
what does he care? He'd be walking around going. He'd say
he could turn water into gasoline.
Nobody here is going to live. Everybody here. You're still going to be alive by the time the end of the world comes, so what difference does it make what you drive? Right? That's what he told his apostles, none of you will taste of death before the kingdom of heaven returns.
More importantly, I'm saying he could turn water into gasoline if he wanted to.
Good point.
An even better point is if it's the true Jesus that's depicted in the Bible, he wouldn't drive at all. He would walk everywhere. And that's what he did in all the movies.
No, the movies. At least when he's not riding on a donkey and an ass at the same time. You know about that bit in the Bible, right? There's the whole what was it, Palm Sunday thing, the triumphal return of Jesus, right?
Okay.
There's the way it's written, Jesus is riding on two different animals at the same time.
Oh my gosh!
We're receiving a call, Russell. Your cell phone was in your pocket the whole time, man. All right. Well, he goes and answers the phone. In order to make a prophecy that was misinterpreted from something in the Old Testament come true, the New Testament writer put Jesus on two animals at the same time.
Does he have 1 foot on each one, maybe?
It doesn't explain it.
Oh.
Yeah, he could have been like, acrobatic bareback rider kind of guy.
Wow.
I'm thinking maybe Jesus would be a circus performer, and then he'd have one of those little tiny cars for the midgets to ride around in. What?
I answered, somebody said hello, and my battery went out.
I do believe it.
I hate that.
It may not have been the battery. It could be the space aliens cutting off communication. It's probably sitting there in their control room.
I just know it's still not
Commander, we are picking up a unauthorized signal from inside our vehicle. Shut that down. Yes, sir. And then they did that. That's my guess. So that's what Jesus would drive, an economic vehicle. Well, I'm not buying it. Yeah. I think that's stupid from, many, many, many different directions at the same time.
Maybe we could try Bnam's idea in the chat room. He says, why don't you use the laptop and access the alien computer to take over the ship? You're using an Apple, right?
Unfortunately, this is the real world and not a stupid movie.
Not that an Apple can't do exactly everything.
Yeah.
But sorry,
I mean, even if I could figure out what this thing is compatible with, I could program a virus, but not not while there's aliens.
Yeah, and plus not while he's nursemaiding our signal, so we can make sure that we can continue providing this fine program to those of you back on Mother Earth.
It's good thinking.
Yeah, but too little, too late. Sorry. So who would Muhammad kill? According to a radical cleric in London,
lots of people.
Who has been caught on film urging his followers to kill non-Muslims and to commit acts of terrorism, he tells an audience that non-believers should be killed or sold into slavery. The tapes, which appear to have been made for propaganda purposes, were allegedly given by Mr. Hamza, that's the guy's name, to a researcher who posed as one of his supporters and infiltrated his inner circle. If a kafir person, or non-believer, kafir, K-A-F-I-R, I wonder if that's like a Muslim word for atheist. If it is, that's a cool word. I could be a kafir.
Kafir. Yeah, that sounds like a cool name.
I like that. I'll be a kafir. I'm going to go check it out. Russell, do you think you could do a internet search while we're here? Can you look up the word kafir, K-A-F-I-R, and find out what that means?
Well, the satellite seems to be working.
Yeah, go ahead. Give it a shot.
We could become the Kafir Association of Austin.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, that would be...
Where was I? If a kafir person or non-believer goes in a Muslim how? Anybody can take him. That is the Islamic law, Mr. Hamza says on one tape.
Move.
If a kafir is walking by and you catch him, he is booty. Booty. I mean, I know some kafirs that have a lot of booty, but har har har. You can sell him in the market. Most of them are spies. That's not too paranoid.
No, it's
most non-Muslims in Muslim countries are spies. And even if they don't do anything, if Muslims cannot take them and sell them in the market, you just kill them. It is okay, Mr. Hamza says. He also praises the al-Qaeda bombings of U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania that killed 224 people. If Muslims are having a war against these people, then yes, it is legitimate, he says. Then he praised attacks against ships from non-Muslim countries. If a ship which loses its way comes to a Muslim land, they'll take it as booty. Anybody else disturbed by this guy's sexual attraction to ships?
We need to kick his booty.
Hang on. He's in Britain. They got their own laws there, man.
Oh, okay.
A terrorist attack in 2000 on the USS Cole killed 17 American sailors. That attack has been linked to Muslim militants in Britain, but Mr. Hamza himself has never been charged. Despite accusations that he recruits for al-Qaeda... What? What? What is a kafir?
I should have remembered this because I actually read a book where they use this term.
Oh, yeah?
It's an atheist, basically. A person
really?
Who refuses to submit himself to Allah,
awesome.
A disbeliever in God, an infidel, basically.
Awesome!
Damn
that's
kafirs,
cool.
We must wage holy war.
That's a great word. I love that word.
I learned a new word today.
Kafir. Sounds cool, right?
It
sounds powerful. Sounds authoritative.
It's like a superhero sort of sounding name,
Yeah.
Interesting.
Despite accusations that he recruits for al-Qaeda, Mr. Hamza's only punishment in Britain has been a high court order banning him from preaching at the Finsbury Park Mosque. He says he can't be accused of inciting people to commit violent acts because he's a cleric who only preaches Muslim law. Quote, I say the reality that's in the Muslim books anyway. Whether I say it or not, it's in the books. Boy, I wish Christian fundamentalists would be as honest as that. Right? I wish Jerry Falwell would just say, yeah, it's true. I say that we should, enslave black people and we should and we should burn witches and all that. I say all that, but it's just I'm just saying what's in the Bible. Segments of the video are posted on the internet at www.jonathangaltfilms.com. That's JOHN. Russell, do you want to type this onto the...
What?
This is the URL for where you can watch some of these videos of Mr. Hamza saying all this crap. At www.jonathan, JOHN, ATHAN, and ATHAN, GALT, films, FILMS.com. One big word, right? JonathanGaltFilms.com. All right. So that's that. And I think, that definitely looks like, the entrance to a command center of some kind. They have guards posted around it who are carrying, much, much, much bigger, nastier looking firearms. But they don't seem to be aware of our presence. I think when we defeated that ambush, they were expecting that to stop us, and so they're not expecting us coming. Phil, you stay here. I'm going to swing around the side there and flank them.
Okay.
And Russell, just keep the computer hardware safe, right? Stay behind Phil.
Just what I wanted.
Follow my lead. Do you have another news story to do while we're setting up this ambush?
I have nothing.
Russell? You gotta have something.
Sitting here anyway.
Yeah.
This is
all right, I'm off. See you in a minute, guys.
Okay, see ya. Rabbi sentenced to life in prison. I'm all alone here. A rabbi convicted of hiring 2 hitmen to kill his wife was spared the death penalty Friday and given a life sentence. Rabbi Fred J. Newlander, a founder of a large suburban Philadelphia congregation, was convicted Wednesday of murder and murder conspiracy in the bludgeoning death of Carol Newlander. Prosecutors said the 61-year-old rabbi had his 51-year-old wife killed so he could continue an extramarital affair with a woman who hosted a Philadelphia radio show. And if Jeff and Phil were here, I'm sure they'd have all sorts of wisecracks to make about that. But
that's terrible.
Oh, there you are.
Here I am. I'm still here with you. I'm hurt, but it's terrible how he hired those people.
Right. I just thought I'd read this because, we spend so much time making fun of Christians. Jewish people occasionally do bad stuff too.
Right. We need a little Jew bashing here.
No. What's going on out there?
Oh, I think Jeff needs
Hang on.
Okay.
Coming.
Let's go. There he is. Let's go help him.
Okay, I think we got them.
They're all gone. Right.
Yeah. Okay, the door's clear, and I blasted the lock on it there. Blasted the lock off, so we're ready to smash the door open and take on whatever's waiting for us inside. Is that the end of the news?
That's all I've got.
That's all I've got too.
People in the chat room are so callous to what we're going through. One of them just quit and got mad and quit because we were, I don't know.
What? What, we're not killing the aliens fast enough for you?
I don't know.
All right. Well, that's it then. I hope that this will not be the end of our broadcast, but this is our final battle now to take over the ship and return to Glasser Studios. So if you'll just bear with us for a few moments, folks, we'll do what we can. Okay. Ready?
Okay.
There they are! There they are! Die, aliens! Oh, you too! Oh!
I think we got them all.
Okay, who can fly this thing?
I remember how to do this. I'm
what?
Just kidding.
Oh, you've been abducted before.
Oh boy. Okay. Yep. Here we go.
It looks. Is that some kind of serial port?
It's a USB port. There you go. Yeah, you're right. It's a universal serial bus.
All right. While Russell patches our computer into the into the control system of the ship. We're just going to take a little rest here. The space alien bodies are dissolving again, wouldn't you know it? So we're not going to have any of that kind of evidence. But on the other hand, we're looking at a giant spaceship here. So so we'll do what we can. Well, this has been an exciting adventure, hasn't it?
We made it.
Well, we still have... Hey, is that the Earth over there?
Looks like it.
I just noticed that I thought it was nighttime at first, but should have occurred to me. Our show's not that long. I see a field of stars outside the front windscreen of the spaceship.
I told you it was artificial gravity.
Oh boy. Well, you were right. Well, you work on the computer there, and we'll.
Okay, I'm gonna have to lay this one down for a while.
Phew. Well, So that's the news. I happen to have with me the latest issue of Skeptical Inquirer, which is also worth talking about.
All right.
One of the things that I found most interesting in this is where is it? Well, speaking of stamps, coming out, not only do we have a In God We Trust stamp, but a Houdini stamp. Famous magician, also debunker of the occult. There's a Houdini stamp coming out. I think it's been released now. It was unveiled on Halloween 2001, the 75th anniversary of his death. And so that's very cool. Also, there's this little article here about Chandra Levy. Remember Chandra Levy?
Chandra Levy,
right? Basically examining the various psychic predictions of where the psychics told the authorities that they would find her. Right. Wrong. Self-proclaimed psychic Sylvia Brown told Fox News Channel's Paula Zahn that Levy's body was near some trees in a marshy area. Brown may need to buy some Windex for her crystal ball. The remains were found across a steep incline in a heavily wooded area, perhaps near some trees, but clearly not in a marshy area, since a marsh located on an incline is geographically impossible.
Incredible.
None of the other thousands of tips from psychics led to her body either. Typical.
Then why do we waste time consulting the psychics?
I don't know. I don't know what the hell is wrong with our culture. In other psychic news, John Edward?
Oh, yeah.
Is the guy with the
charlatan guy?
Did you know that there is, in fact, a disclaimer at the start of his show?
Well, the biggest one for me is that it's on the Sci-Fi Network. That's the deal.
Well, yeah, but just like a lot of those, call in and have your astrology chart figured or your tarot cards read or whatever, will have a little disclaimer at the bottom saying for entertainment purposes only.
Miss Cleo had that too.
Miss Cleo had that.
Yeah.
That wasn't really what they got her on. They got that company. They got the company on actually charging people for calls they hadn't made.
When they place you on hold and they start racking up.
Right, that kind of stuff. But no, they had that disclaimer too. So does John Edward. You know what his says? There's an interesting letter here in Skeptical Inquirer from a guy who taped the show so that he could run it at slow motion, so you'd have time to read the disclaimer. Because unless you are a speed reader, it's just not possible to read the entire disclaimer in the amount of time it's on the screen. It says, let's see, where is it?
The following is a bunch of BS.
Oh, no, it's not. The text is not there. But part of it says, it reads in part, is not meant or intended to be a form of factual statement in any way whatsoever. Now, that's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Why don't people... I hope from now on that John Edward, when he dares to appear in public again, will be hit with that disclaimer. Why do you got that disclaimer on your show, Mr. Edward, if it's a bunch of crap?
The thing I like is that he'll have some celebrity, some soap star on to lend credibility. Every now and then. He'll have an actual celebrity.
But he also appears on, CNN. He has appeared opposite...
so does that Von Prague guy.
Yeah, they've appeared opposite guys from Psychop talking about this, and they get all huffy and like, oh, you know, they're just trying to take away people's hope and destroy the lives of good people like us. Well, you know, why is a good person like you claiming to talk to the dead and putting a disclaimer on it saying there's nothing factual about it at all? Now, are you telling the truth, and is your disclaimer a lie, or are you lying and your disclaimer is the truth? One or the other.
There was a terrific cartoon. I don't know if you read the online strip, Player versus Player.
No, I don't.
But a while back, there was a great strip where the one character who's a big blue troll is sitting around on the couch watching John Edwards.
Uh-huh.
And the guy with the ponytail comes up and he's like, "Why do you watch this crap?" And he says, "What is this?" And he says, "It's John Edwards. He's talking to the dead." And he's like, "I'm sensing someone whose name begins with a letter, and, you know, it's a man, possibly a woman with long or short hair, or maybe no hair, and that's, and someone who ate food and slept." And the guy says sarcastically, "Wow, how does he do it?" And the troll's like, "He's psychic."
They had an article a couple of months ago in that publication, that Skeptic Inquirer.
Yeah. I'm talking about the, November-December issue.
This was in the summer, I think. I read that, talked about the techniques used in readings like that.
Right.
And they said that John Edwards was in fact pretty much a master statistician. And he's able to understand, okay, there's a greater possibility that this person will have three kids, and went through a whole process of how to read somebody and get a better hit potential. Pretty interesting. I mean, the guy is definitely a charlatan.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, duh. Yeah. They all are. If they were not, they could provide proof that what they claimed was true. There's an interesting article in here that I particularly liked about Hugo Gernsback. He is the magazine publisher who is credited with being the father of science fiction.
Sweet.
Right? Because he published magazines about electronics and radio and stuff, right? Like hobbyists magazines.
Okay.
And he came up with the idea of science fiction as a way of teaching science and getting people interested in science. Well, let's do a story where we take things that are scientifically possible, right, and make exciting stories about that. He was also a skeptic. And in the same magazines where he was introducing this new genre of science fiction in the 20s and 30s, he was publishing articles debunking various miracle cures and, free energy devices, perpetual motion machines, all that kind of stuff.
Sounds like an interesting teacher, this guy.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. That's a pretty cool article. I recommend that. He also predates The Amazing Randy in offering money to people to prove their claims were true. He offered $6,000 for astrologers to prove that let's see, they were supposed to foretell three major events of such a nature that the astrologer has no control over their outcome. Right, so you couldn't say, "I will drive to Cincinnati" as one of your future events, because you could just get in the car and drive to Cincinnati.
You could just make it come true.
Make that true. Very, very keen. Lots of articles in here talking about the pseudoscience in alternative medicine, talking about, there's an article in here, "Are Skeptics Cynical? Popular Misunderstandings of Skepticism." And I haven't read that one yet, but that's, I think, an interesting thing to talk about, because we always get that bad rap, don't we?
Right. It's not necessary, though. I mean, you can be a skeptic without being a cynic, right?
Yeah, just because you don't believe all the wild claims that people come up with does not mean that you're an unhappy person. I mean, people just assume this because they're in the position of being made happy by those things, by those claims.
Coincidentally, I heard Josh McDowell on the radio talking about this very thing.
Yeah?
And he actually went into the whole story about how he used to be an atheist, quote unquote.
Uh-huh.
And he hated his father and had a bad relationship with his father, and then he set out to write this book about atheism or proving that there's no God, and he specifically said, I was trying to do it from an emotional point of view rather than a logical one.
Okay.
And so, no surprise, he winds up converting to Christianity. But, I mean, you know, I don't doubt that there are some theists who became theists because they were miserable as atheists. But that's not the kind of atheists that we are.
Well, we don't want to become theists to get chicks.
Wait, you're saying there were theists who became atheists because they were miserable?
Theists who became theists.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I can tell, most of them still are miserable.
Exactly. That's the personality type.
I rarely encounter truly happy Christians.
Right, and it doesn't make sense if you strongly believe something, you know, if you disbelieve in the existence of a supernatural being. It's stupid to sort of convert yourself against what you truly believe just to get in the social situation that, I guess, a Christian setting would offer. I guess that's what you're getting at.
I don't think that's what he was saying.
Well, I mean...
Yeah, they always try to boil it down to, well, you know, we have questions about what's going to happen after you die, for example. And if you don't have an answer, you're going to be unhappy. Well,
I think they believe that all atheists think a certain way because that's the way they thought when they thought they were atheists, if that makes any sense.
Well, I don't know. I mean, in my mom's case, my mom is getting up in years. She's having more and more severe medical problems, right?
Yeah.
And she's a believer. And when we have had discussions about this, it generally boils down to, you know, I have to believe this or I would not be able to go on. And while I can certainly sympathize with being terrified and distraught about the imminent end of your life, because I think death is the most horrible thing nature ever invented, you know, from my perspective. I understand what its function, right? In the scheme of things.
It's necessary for things to evolve.
But it's horrible, right? And I want to see it gone. But you don't make death go away. You don't actually address the problem by simply convincing yourself it ain't going to happen.
Right, I think death is important. It's part of life, really. I mean, without...
No, that's bullshit.
Well, it may be bullshit, but as far as what we have now...
that's like saying tornadoes are part of nature. Well, that's true. They are. Wouldn't we stop them if we could? Wouldn't we, don't we bend all our efforts to preventing being harmed by tornadoes, even though they're part of nature? Of course we do. And that's perfectly okay. I feel exactly the same way about death. It's ridiculous that to thinking beings who can develop technology, figure out, the mechanisms that make the difference between being alive and being dead, ridiculous for us to take the position that, because it's natural, we should go on doing it.
Death may be natural, but I still don't want to die.
It still sucks.
Nobody wants to die, but it gives meaning to life.
Bullshit.
Okay, think about it this way. If you had all the money you could ever want, as much as you want, for as long as you want, money would be meaningless to you then.
And?
Same thing with life. Life would be meaningless if you
No, not the same thing. Because life, what is life? Life is the period of time during which stuff happens. Right?
Right.
And if that was a longer period, more stuff would keep happening. Life is not like money. Life is not, once you've got it all, you have it all immediately. You actually have to then live through that period of time to experience all the things that are going to happen during that time.
That's not the exact connection.
That's why it's a tragedy if you die young.
That's not the exact connection of the money and life thing.
Okay, make a connection.
The exact connection is money's what you want, right? As long as you can have as much as you want.
But not all things you want are the same.
Money is not what I want.
I'm
having experiences.
But Phil,
you're totally missing the analogy.
But Phil, I think your analogy is flawed. Okay? Because not all things that you want are the same. There are some things that you want which once you get them, you got it, and you're done. And there are other things that that you might want, that once you have them, you got that amount, it gets used up, and then you want more. Right? Time is one of those things that once you got some time, you use it up, and then you want more time.
Okay.
It's like food. Okay? Now, if I had all the food I wanted, doesn't mean I'd never get hungry again. doesn't mean I couldn't enjoy that food. It would mean I wouldn't have to worry about where my next meal was coming from ever again.
Okay.
But I'd sit there and eat my way through that food at a normal pace. I wouldn't suddenly never be hungry again, and then there's no point to thinking about that anymore. It's not the same. See what I'm getting at?
But as time went on in this last couple of seconds,
yeah,
would you not sort of get, I don't want it for lack of a better word, bored with, let's say you lived for a million years. In a million years, you would tire of being in existence.
It's possible, but I can't imagine it.
It's hard to imagine, yeah.
And you know that I am also a supporter of the right to die movement. I think people who consciously and rationally decide that they've had enough, I think those people should be allowed to kill themselves. And we are re-entering the Earth's atmosphere.
I got it working. Thank you very much.
I remember that when NASA would do this, they would lose their radio signal with their astronauts.
That's
something about the re-entry
into the atmosphere.
Causing some kind of breakdown in communications. Well, we expect to have that, but just in case we don't, stay on the line.
The stereo's on Earth, so I've got it remotely hooked up from here, so they should still be able to hear that.
Okay, so thanks very much for listening to the show. We will be back again next week. I'm going to try to get Phil back here because I'm just getting into this argument. I think Phil is completely full of shit.
We will
about the meaning of life.
Continue this argument.
But it's a good thing for atheists to talk about. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. We'll leave you with the Aquabats again, assuming that you're still receiving us.